Yo, welcome back to No Shame with Shane. I'm your host, Shane Fordham, with all the shameless sports takes. Last night was possibly the biggest game of the season. Lions versus the Vikings, fighting it out for the first seed, first in the division, but also first in the conference. And honestly, this game showed me exactly why, as an Eagles fan, I am more worried to face Jaden Daniels in the playoffs than Sam Darnold. I mean, 166 passing yards, 43% completion rate, 55% passer rating, 17.4 QBR. I mean, Sam Darnold was horrible. I mean, he was terrible against the Lions. I mean, it honestly, one of my main reasons that I said before in my last video, one of my main reasons for being less worried about Sam Darnold than Jaden Daniels is because Sam Darnold is untested in the playoffs. And this Lions-Vikings game, it was about the closest that you'll get to a playoff environment in the regular season. I mean, this was definitely the closest to a playoff game that Sam Darnold has had all season. The stakes were high. Both teams had something on the line. I mean, especially the Vikings trying to obtain home field advantage, against a seasoned team like the Lions, So, I mean, this was the closest to a playoff game that Sam Darnold has had all season. And I'm not saying that I'm more worried about Jaden Daniels. Like, I'm in no way saying that the Commanders are a better team than the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings are one of the best teams in the NFL with arguably the best roster in the NFL from top to bottom. I mean, a star-studded offense. You have a superstar in Justin Jefferson, who is arguably the best receiver in the league next to Jamar Chase. You have other stars like Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, the top 5 offensive line, top 3 in pass blocking. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, Brian Flores has this defense looking really dangerous. I mean, a blanket secondary with Byron Murphy, 2 savvy veteran DBs in Stephon Gilmore and Harrison Smith, guys who have been two of the best DBs of this era of football. In this era of football, two of the best DBs in this era of football so far. And then on the D line, Marcus Dixon has this D line looking unstoppable almost, just having them wreak havoc. I mean, producing 2 Pro Bowlers in Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. Shout out Coach Dixon. I mean, this defense as a whole, it's stacked on both sides of the ball. So I'm not worried. I'm not more worried about the Commanders than the Vikings because I think the Commanders are a better football team. I'm more worried about the Commanders than the Vikings from an Eagles perspective because that's how good I think Jaden Daniels is at the quarterback position. How much of a killer he has proven to be at this point in his career. Really a guy who looks like a top 3 clutch QB in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. So I'm more worried about the Commanders from that standpoint because of who they have at quarterback. The Vikings last night, they lost because of Sam Darnold. Jaden Daniels has rarely, if ever, has been the reason that the Commanders have lost any of their games this season. But last night, Sam Darnold was definitely the reason why the Vikings lost. I mean, the defense did their job for one. They held the Lions, this talented Lions offense, to 1 touchdown in the first half. Very few defenses have been able to do that this year. Very few. So, and then on the offensive side of the ball, Sam Darnold, I mean, he's missing wide open passes. He missed Justin Jefferson clean in the end zone, which could have given them a burst of energy at the beginning of the game. He's going to the ball too long, taking unnecessary hits and negative plays in the backfield. Just not being able to make those throws through tight windows. And the defense. I mean, the defense, the Lions offense was only able to wear the Vikings defense down in the second half because the Vikings offense didn't spend any time on the field. I mean, multiple 3-and-outs. I mean, the Vikings defense just had so many short turnarounds and, so many short turnarounds with the offense not putting numbers on the board. I mean, that just it really just made it harder on the defense. The defense honestly did all they could do. That loss was on Sam Darnold. But if you want to blame the defense for allowing the Lions to put up 30 plus points on them, if you want to blame the receivers, if you want to blame the O-line for not being able to handle the defensive pressure that Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn we're sending at Sam Darnold, if you want to blame the O-line for that, fine. But even if you blame the surrounding units before you blame Sam Darnold still wasn't able to overcome those challenges when his team needed him most. And that's the difference between these two QBs. If you look at Jayden Daniels, there were multiple times this season where Jayden Daniels had to overcome his receivers not making plays on the ball. The rare occasions where Terry McLaurin wasn't able to reel one in. The moments in games where Olamide Zaccheaus or Diami Brown weren't able to bring the ball in. I mean, we saw that this weekend against the Cowboys. Whether the offense isn't able to keep their blocks, whether Austin Eckler or Brian Robinson are injured or healthy, having to overcome that, not really having, some games not really having as steady of a run game, Austin Eckler missing multiple games, Brian Robinson not really being able to stay healthy consistently. Or if you want to, and then even the defense, the defense being moments where they were scorched this year by high caliber receivers. Jayden Daniels was able to overcome multiple obstacles this year and still lead his team to the playoffs, still be able to make the plays that counted when it mattered most. When his team needed him the most, he was able to make those plays. Sam Darnold showed that he's not able to overcome those challenges the way that Jayden Daniels has shown to be able to. So, that's why I'm more worried about the Commanders as opposed to the Vikings because of who they have at quarterback. So when you look at these guys in the playoffs, what really bothers me is when people try to put Jayden Daniels and Sam Darnold on equal footing with them both, with this being both of their first playoff experience, with this being both of their playoff experiences. First time either one of them are in the playoffs. But there's levels to it, though. There's a big difference between Sam Darnold being in the playoffs right now and Jayden Daniels being in the playoffs right now. Sam Darnold has been in the NFL for 8 years. This year being his first year making a playoff appearance, he has a stacked team on both sides of the ball, including the league's best receiver in Justin Jefferson. Jayden Daniels, in his first year as a rookie, has been the catalyst for this, not even just the offense, for the team, has been the spark for the team as to them making it to the playoffs, being the number one reason why they're in the playoffs in his first year. Sam Darnold has been more of a game manager as compared to Jayden Daniels being a playmaker, being the true engine of this team. So there's definitely levels. Sam Darnold being in the playoffs right now and Jaden Daniels being in the playoffs right now are two different things. So honestly, right now, if I from the Eagles' perspective, I'm more worried about the Commanders than the Vikings because Sam Darnold doesn't strike any fear in my heart. He doesn't strike any fear in my heart because he has shown that he is not the quarterback that can pick a defense apart. If you're playing a high caliber defense like the Lions have, even while injured, still having a quality defense, they knew they could frazzle Sam Darnold by throwing pressure at him, sending multiple rushers, not just going with the 4-man rush, but sending 5 to 6 guys for a majority of the game regularly. He is not the quarterback that can buckle down and win your team and make a play for your team in the stretch. So, if that's how he looks in a let's call it a playoff simulation, a playoff practice game, if you will, I'm supposed to expect that Sam Darnold will be able to be clutch in the actual playoffs. It doesn't strike any fear in me coming to you as an Eagles fan. It doesn't strike any fear in me. Jaden Daniels has shown to be clutch in the stretch, has shown to be able to make those game-winning plays, racking up 4 game-winning drives this season. One of the clutchest quarterbacks of the year. So, I mean, there's nothing about Sam Darnold that makes me fearful as an Eagles fan, as opposed to what I see in Jaden Daniels. And as an Eagles fan, this is exactly why I would rather see the Vikings. I would rather see the Packers. I would rather see the Bucks, all before I see the Commanders because of who they have at quarterback. Now, mind you, I am not saying that the Commanders are a better team than the Vikings. But with that being said, having the better quarterback, obviously, that they do, in regards to the Commanders, they also have enough playmakers in the right positions that can also make a difference on the field. On offense, Jaden Daniels has Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. healthy for this postseason. Terry McLaurin, of course, is healthy for the postseason. Zach Ertz and Olamide Zaccheaus have shown to be target favorites of Jaden Daniels, who have been good at finding holes in the defense these past few weeks. On the defensive side of the ball, Marshawn Lattimore is rumored to be healthy for the playoffs. They've been saving him for this postseason. Jeremy Chin has been dependable in the secondary and the over top help. Quan Martin has been a playmaker at times. Their linebackers and Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu have been playing great ball all season. Frankie Louvu, a guy who really could have been a Pro Bowler this year. And then on that front line, they have dependable and quality pass rushers and run stoppers in Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, and then Dante Fowler coming off the edge, who has had a great year, who has come up huge for this Commanders defense this season. So even though the Commanders aren't as good of a team as the Vikings, maybe as the Packers talent-wise, I mean, they still have the pieces that they need to be able to win those close games. And honestly, I wouldn't even say the Packers, honestly. I wouldn't, in terms of talent, I wouldn't even say the Packers have more talent than the Commanders. But I mean, looking at the Vikings specifically, I think that the Commanders definitely have enough where it's not crazy to say that I am more worried about the Commanders in the playoffs than the Vikings. Most certainly the Packers and the Bucks. And honestly, I don't really think it's crazy to say I'm more worried to see the Commanders than the Lions right now. I mean, granted, this is in no disrespect to the Lions. The Lions are a great team. They showed why last night against the Vikings. The fact that they have a quarterback, a seasoned playoff quarterback like Jared Goff can't be ignored. The fact that they have one of the best receiver duos in the league in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams Jameson Williams can't be ignored. The fact that they have a top 6 to 7 running back in Jahmyr Gibbs can't be ignored. Or arguably the best offensive line in the league right now can't be ignored. And then it's also a big help that they're getting Alex Anzalone back, on the defensive side of the ball and at linebacker. Getting him back is a big help as well. But I don't think it's crazy for me to say that I'm more worried about this Commanders team than the Lions team because of frankly just how much better Jaden Daniels has looked at the quarterback position than Jared Goff. And Jared Goff is one of the league's best, definitely one of the NFC's best. And then that's on top of the fact that the Commanders team know this Eagles team better than the Lions. I mean, we're division rivals. They know the Eagles very well. So I really don't think it's crazy, even though the Lions are still more talented, have a better roster, they have the coaching. I still don't think it's crazy for me to say that I am more worried about this Commanders team who has playmakers around Jaden Daniels on both sides of the ball, tools that he has shown capable of winning tough games with. I don't think it's crazy for me to say that I am more worried about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders than Jared Goff in a depleted Lions team. There's no way I can just say I'm more worried about Sam Darnold and the Vikings than I am about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. And again, that's not a reflection on the team as a whole. It's a reflection on who these teams have at quarterback. Especially when, from the Eagles' perspective, the Eagles also have one of the best rosters in the NFL. A team that can match up against any other team position for position from the top down. So it's not even so having the overall talent doesn't really worry me as much because of who we have on our side of the rock, on our side of the line of scrimmage. So that's why I'm more worried about Jaden Daniels than any other quarterback in the NFC North or NFC South, looking at the Bucks. But that's all we got for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, and I will be back later on with more shameless takes.